Hey everybody, and welcome to the Rebel channel. If you are new here, we like to cover different main topics when it comes to fashion, as well as we like to dive into different things just to express ourselves. So this video is basically being made because on July 17th, I got the chance to experience a fashion show here in Houston, Texas. Now, when I was in high school, I did take advanced fashion and we did put on a fashion show. So this was actually gonna be my first time actually just sitting back and seeing a full-fledged production. Now, I will state that at this fashion show, it is not like your Christian Dior's, your Versace's, your Miu Miu, or your Iris Van Herpen's of the world, but it also followed the cultural foundation of the catwalk with their twist on extravagant. For those of you who aren't sure what fashion shows are, don't worry because I am going to share that information with you right now. A fashion show is basically an event where up-and-coming or seasoned veteran designers in the fashion world showcase their new collections as they contribute to pushing the envelope and expressing themselves through their arts and design, allowing us, the viewers, to see how the garments move and flow while still creating a buzz for what's new in the fashion world. Some events are private and many require no photography or so forth, while others are geared towards the public. Today, fashion shows are revealed online through streaming and are open to the masses to attend if you're willing to pay the play. Today, we'll be discussing the evolution of the fashion show, how it became mainstream, and some of the famous, or in most cases, unrecognized designers, models, and design pieces that contribute to fashion shows' popularity. I'd also like to let you know that this will be broken into two parts. This is a lot of information and I am making a shorter generalized video. If you want to know more on specific information, I will be adding my work cited in the description. When I do these type of videos, I always try to show my work cited so you can go back and check for yourself. Before Charles Frederick Worth, many fashions were displayed only on mannequins. This concept to appeal to the masses that lived within each small town or city, not yet to be seen on a wider scale. By 1850, Frederick changed the standards of displaying garments on mannequins by establishing a fashion parade at the House of Worth in Paris. The House of Worth is Frederick's workshop, and as the Met Museum state, it is best known for clients making their selections, and many garments were tailored to their liking. The fashion parades were private events where demoiselles de magasins, or as we all call them, live models, would model the design for a small crowd or for the consumers only. Fun fact, it is said that the first model for Worth was actually his wife, Mary Augustine Vernet. And while many models such as Janice Dickinson and many others are being debated as the first supermodel, it is clear that Miss Vernet paved the way and earned the title as the first model and helped push what we see today. Music and photography were not yet a part of the culture. For photography, it wasn't a part of it mainly because many designers feared that others would try to steal their designs and pass it off as their own. Oh, how nearly 200 years later and we still see many trying to steal other people's designs. I'm just stating a fact. The idea for walking down the catwalk wouldn't be apparent until years later, so models such as Vernet were basically stand-around models, and they possibly did a little spin for consumers to see how the garments moved and so forth. By the early 1900s, the concept of the fashion parades were able to spread to areas such as London, the United States, and many more, with one of the first fashion parades in Britain being held in 1901 by Lady Duff Gordon. She provided the catalog known as the Gowns of Emotions. This is one of the first garments that made the fashion parades really stand out, and in 1903 in the United States, department store Edric Brothers attempted to hold their first fashion parade, although it is believed that this was the least successful one, as the cut revealed that an article by the New York Times states models argued over who was wearing which garment, who was the most beautiful, and their order in which they were going to walk down the catwalk, with many people leaving the event before the garments could even be showcased. I'd also like to state that these two important staples in history lets us know that within the short 51 years, fashion parades definitely evolved from just standing around and showing a garment to models beginning to actually walk down that catwalk, making this a milestone within the fashion world. It is also believed that Lady Duff is one of the first to make that change. Harper Bazaar states that she is probably the first to have models appearing on stage with scenery, lighting, music, while their entrances were choreographed with poses. Lady Duff has her own share of controversy from her time on the Titanic and how she actually escaped. If you want to know more about that, you know where you can find that article. So another fun fact that I like to state that is not on the controversy side, Lady Duff actually went by the name Lucille and is known for creating one of the first international brands, Maison Lucille. Before using the term fashion parades, her events were actually known as mannequin parades before it quickly changed to fashion parades. And she is credited for training models to walk and introduce these slit skirts and lower neckline. I'd also like to say that in the early 1900s, we can attribute the first supermodel, a phrase coined in the late 80s, early 90s, to Evelyn Nesbit. I know some of you may be wondering what's the difference between a model and a supermodel, you know, Burnett versus Nesbit, and why I keep stating it that way. Well, it's simple. A model is known for advertising or promoting a brand, while a supermodel is highly paid and gains larger recognition over a massive scale. So Nesbit is actually one of the first to actually be in high demand for many designers and to be the most sought after. But sadly, she is often forgotten for that. And I do want to state that she did have an untimely passing. If you want to learn more about who she is, her success, and her life, that link is in the description as well. Fashion parades became mainstream in the 1920s and were still held in department stores as well as restaurants and other facilities. Events were showcased to thousands, mainly middle-class individuals, more than what we've seen before the 1900s, as they introduced the concepts of theme. It wasn't uncommon to find themes that follow certain cultures. The idea of being glamorous and theatrical was all that was trying to be pushed across. Now, for the sake of time and to keep this video from exceeding a certain time frame, I will not be able to go into all the designers and models that fell within the 1920s and 1940s, well, up to like 1943, that were influential in making fashion shows mainstream and pretty much make them what they are today. So I'll just mention them really quickly and give a little detail on why they're important. When it comes to designers that contributed a lot during these times, designers such as Paul Parrott, known as a founding father of haute couture, Coco Chanel, who introduced functionality to fashion while keeping garments daring and comfortable, Elsa Schiaparelli, who introduced shoe hats and compact telephone makeup. All of these designers showcased their collections and contributed to the continued rise of fashion shows. Models and supermodels during this time were mainly on-screen actresses and individuals such as Princess Belasowski, Natalia Pavlovna Paley, Alka Chase, Lisa Fonsa-Grimes. Before we get into Fashion Week, I'd also like to discuss the changes during World War II. We were introduced to Eleanor Lambert, a fashion publicist and the founding executive director of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. She is well known for introducing the Fashion Press Week. Fit NYC states that the New York Fashion Press Week was designed to promote fashion designers' collections during World War II, as many were not traveling during this time, so this was the perfect time to establish something in the United States to where we could still have smaller fashion shows for the general public. Now, during the times of the Fashion Press Week, I will like to state that there were no designated locations like we see today, so it was held at different locations until later years. I'll go more into that in the next video. Fun fact, Fashion Press Week opened the doors for the International Best Dress List, Fashion Critic Award, as well as the CFDA. After World War II, designers and other facilities began to open their doors again, with many people traveling and with fashion shows on the rise and being geared towards an even larger audience, but small enough to where it wasn't as common as it is today. We began to see designers such as Christian Dior, who introduced the Dior silhouette in multiple countries and gained mass appeal. Another important staple in history that helped push fashion shows to where they are today are the birth of the different councils in different countries and introducing different staple fashion weeks, as well as what we all know are the big four. So thank you all for tuning in to part 1. Part 2 will be available soon, where we will discuss the councils, fashion weeks, and more. Also, let me know if you found any of this information helpful about the evolution of fashion shows and what they were in the beginning. Have you heard of any of these designers or models? Let me know. Put that down in a comment, and I'll see you all next time.